1, 2, 3. Go get it. Hello, I am Tom.
I'm Galen.
And welcome to 15 Minutes of Fume, Haute Macabre edition. What are you reacting to?
It was just a pose.
Oh.
It was like a dramatic, like
Mannequins.
mannequin arms.
Mannequin 2.
Mannequin 2 arms. Yikes.
Only the difference in the movie sequel is that her arms are in a different pose. It's not very interesting. So we are here to do what we do best, which is forget to talk about perfumes. No, just kidding. We are here to sniff a series of fragrances and describe them while sniffing them. And that's kind of the whole thing. No wonder we go off topic, because that sounds like it could be very boring. If we're talking about Haute Macabre perfumes today, I really think that the way to go would be full, like, dramatic black and white, right?
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
is that better?
I feel like this works.
Now is the time, now is the hour.
Moody hands, I don't know what I'm doing.
Wear too much perfume and then you have to take a shower.
That sounds like a spell.
It's just good life advice.
Right. It's a show with many detours, but eventually we do get back on track and
Yes.
then try to...
It's like that Tuan
Focus
Fu
on what
road
we're talking
trip where
about.
you tear up the map and just decide to wing it, and then sometimes you end up stuck in Spidersville.
I thought it was Snydersville.
Yeah, that's the joke from the movie.
I know.
Okay, well today we are sniffing this series of scents that BPAL has made for Haute Macabre, the online retailer that caters to the strange and unusual. And I know that you're probably thinking, I myself am strange and unusual. So you could go there and you could buy perhaps a beautiful gem or mineral, or a tarot deck, or perfume, or any number, all sorts of things on the website. I've ended up getting so many beautiful stones there over the years, and I'm always, what I like, it's fun to follow because while she has a kind of a stable variety of things that is stocked in the store, there's always something new.
Mm-hmm.
So these perfumes have been among the something new over the last months, because about once a month they've been releasing a new fragrance, each one inspired by kind of a loosely inspired or directly inspired by a particular gem or mineral. So how cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. These run the gamut from like a kind of an abstract concept like Velvet Void, or Descent, to something a little more literal like Citrine or Rose Quartz. Often the perfume has like a small chip of the gem in question in it.
Cool.
So if you think that is important, that's the case. And also these are done with like there's like often solid plant materia included in the perfume, because when we're just selling that cool old-fashioned witch shit, and we don't need to filter it for you, we don't need to strain it through a strainer.
No.
You're getting the real
Real juice from the actual fruit.
right, the real goop.
Yeah.
So are you gooped? Because these have been going for a while, some of you may already have some of these, or maybe you've just been waiting months and months to hear what someone else has to say about it, which you can do, first of all, anytime at the bpal.org web forum. It's a new vocal warm-up, bpal.org web forum. Or...
It does hit a lot of the important
yeah.
sounds.
Right. The
Yes.
quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Lazy dog.
Our dog is both of those characters in that story.
It's what happens when the fox jumped over the lazy dog. It became
Disco, who's currently disemboweling a tennis ball.
It's cool.
So we have 6 of them here. I think 7 have technically been released because Phantasmagoria isn't here, but we'll include that with the next round of scents, because I think the only bottle I had was like a dummy for photography. So we have Velvet Void, Descent, Citrine, Rose Quartz, Shadow Self, and CLOAK.
Can we do it?
It's like a spell that I just cast. Triguna McCoides, etc., etc. I make that joke a lot.
You do.
Can't, I mean, you know.
It's just your thing.
You gotta, you gotta respect the classics. So we will start with a little Velvet Void, okay?
So smooth.
Here's the Velvet Void. I'm like rattling it to see if there's like a
Real velvet. You can hear it.
a chip in there.
Chip of velvet.
So Velvet Void. The notes are Oman frankincense and blackened myrrh with plum blossom, tea leaf, apopanax cypress leaf, anise seed, star anise pods, elderberries, and elderflower. Ooh, kind of like, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been a while. I've smelled this, but I don't really remember it terribly well. So firstly, I want you to tell me how velvety is this void?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it is weirdly very plush. The elderberry, elderflower, and plum blossom are kind of giving it this like wonderful swirl of like dark fruits. To me, it smells like a very expensive
Is there a bug in here?
bug flying in my face. Almost like a very expensive like cocktail in a dark, shadowy, but like strangely expensive East Village bar that specializes in cocktails and is only open like 2 nights a month.
Oh yeah.
That's one of those situations.
That makes sense.
There's someone doing like a burlesque performance but was not hired to do so.
Just shut up. And they're
Right.
like, well, we can't really stop them.
It's a real like demi-monde kind of experience. That's mainly what I'm getting in the bottle.
You got all that from the bottle.
I haven't even put it on yet.
It's like rogue burlesque performer
Yeah.
in a darkened club.
I'm getting a bit of I think about the myrrh and maybe a bit of the tea. I'm not really sure about the rest. The fruitiness of it is kind of in the bottle. That can be like a bombastic experience. What are you detecting?
I definitely the plum for sure, and like the frankincense and myrrh. I'm getting, and I think the elderberries. It has like a kind of berry, plummy quality to it, but like also kind of like an old lingering incense haze
Yes.
type thing.
'Cause,
Like
like-
it smells like, you know, like the velvet furniture of yore.
Like when I indulge in the elderberry syrup and whatever sometimes when you're like having in the sickness.
I partake of the elderberry.
I do. I partake of the elderberry, and on the skin, the first thing I smell is that.
It does smell like
It's
elderberry.
like it's like a pure,
It's just beautiful.
juicy
Yeah.
elderberry. That being said, once that kind of passes the palate, there is this like vapor trail behind it, and that's where I get the frank and the myrrh.
Truly beautiful, like, and yeah, actual like dark void of like incense smoke.
Yeah, it's like,
Kinda
what did I
it's
just
like,
drink?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
You're
that-
just like instantly
yeah.
whooshed into the darkness.
And then there is this kind of like hazy veil of the incense and herbs that really kind of lingers, because after a moment, I don't know if my nose just kind of like goes blind to the berries and it just obliterates that kind of portion of it, but it goes onward into something that is kind of like much more interesting, like herbal tonic or tincture. You know, again, shadowy room, but this is like less of a social environment and more of like a private chamber. Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
You have to be comfortable with the fruits, though, to get to that point, I think. Like, this is like a wonderful, fruity herbal incense blend.
The anise in it is really interesting too. It kind of adds this like. Yeah, like you said. Did you say medicinal?
Well,
Or you
only
said
'cause of
herbal,
the,
like an herbal
yeah.
tonic, and I was
Yeah.
saying medicinal, but not like in a. Not like medicinal. But
No,
there's
more like a
something-
medallion that your witch neighbor gives you to wear around your neck.
Right, and you're like, what's in it? Best not to ask, dear.
Yeah, just go with it.
It's all good.
Well, you can worry
Oh,
about
it's
that in
just
your fourth trimester.
We're your friends, Rosemary. It's beautiful.
There's no rosemary in this.
No, I know.
Just kidding. Yeah, I you know, it's got a particular like dark whirlpool like thing going on. Weirdly comforting. The sweetness is kind of like evaporating as it goes. So you know, again though, like you really have to be there for the first part of the ride, I think. Like I can see how some people might be intrigued even by all of these like interesting dark incensey qualities. And then you get it and you open it and you're just like, well, this is fruit, man. So it is not only fruit.
Reno, you were warned. There is fruit in here.
It's listed.
Don't act all surprised.
I like that. I mean, in the Frank and myrrh too, because myrrh is something I like in theory and in moderation, but like a really strong myrrh perfume really doesn't do it for me for whatever reason, and it's just not a deterrent here at all. The Frank and myrrh are kind of just like an element. It's not like some full blast of like the Phantom of the Opera pipe organ, you know, drama with the incense notes here. So
I love a myrrh. Love a moody myrrh.
You are
moody myrrh moment.
More of a merman than I. So
marmalade.
Marmalade. Does anyone make marmalade? Is that a thing?
I fucking hope so.
Don't eat that. Don't eat that. Next, we're gonna go straight into Descent. And the fragrance is blackened pomegranate rind, pomegranate seed, sweet myrrh, pink peppercorn, velvet lily, spiced red rose petals, mullein, champaca blossom, black amber, 8-year aged Indonesian patchouli. There's another vocal warm-up for you.
Right.
Theater kids. Hey, Absolute. Hey. Honey accord and black vegetal musk. What a mouthful.
Sounds incredible.
A lot of like diva notes in here.
This sounds, very... I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Star of the show.
So many stars. It's like noise. Head
of the class.
Noise is
popular.
Off. Yeah. Okay, so again, we're dealing with a fruity incense with more of...
More myrrh.
And more floral. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I guess we just gotta go. And some musk. I mean, I don't even know what to expect here. Prepare to descend. Your ears may pop a little bit. It's normal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. In the bottle, I'm getting a spicy rose pomegranate. Okay. So that's the pepper, the rose, and the pomegranate. And I'm sure some of the other like florals and so forth are being absorbed into this and cannot be identified yet. Not super patchouli to the nose. I shouldn't have given him a squeaky tennis ball. Hey, Disco. Hey. Yes, things like Hey Absolute, Honey Accord are a little maybe subtle to read in the bottle. I don't know if you're getting anything like that.
I'm not getting them. What I'm mostly getting, you said the spicy rose what?
Pomegranate.
Spicy rose pomegranate. And I'm definitely getting the champaca a lot.
Drama. Lots of drama in this perfume. I did mention
kind of like
theater
just a
kids.
beautiful melange of incense. And
Yes.
kind of like very heady. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very, very heady.
How far down does it go? You should know that this is not related to The Descent, the movie about the women cave hikers who get stuck in caves and have to fight monsters. But I'll never, if I watch that movie again,
could be in your mind.
I don't feel like I need to watch that movie again because it gives me a panic attack. But I would wear this perfume while watching it. That is The Descent. This is simply Descent. They are legally distinguishable.
And we have it on tape.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The champaca is coming out guns blazing.
Yes. Right.
I thought this would be out of Velvet Void, and this, I would have suspected this would have been fruitier just because of the emphasis on different parts of the pomegranate. But note that it picked out everything like but the fruit. It's the rind and the seed. So like, it's got something going on there, but it's not a juicy fruity scent at all.
No, it's not.
It's a floral incense, like a
is
spicy floral incense.
Diva spicy floral incense.
With like fruit aspirations, but it never manages to follow
Just
through.
a hint of fruit. Enough to make you wonder.
Where's the
that
fruit?
Yeah. Where's the fruit? Is that fruit?
Fascinating. Okay, so things you have to love in order to wear this are champaca, rose, and myrrh. Otherwise, you're doomed and you won't like it. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm getting the amber and the patchouli. The patchouli.
Beautiful, right?
Like, yeah, it's all just like
player.
a swirl of.
Yeah. This is like in Shaolin soccer where they're all working together to like use their powers to win at soccer.
I think the honey and hay. Oh, I actually do smell the hay.
Hey. Sorry, I gotta stop. It's such a dumb
I
joke.
kind of smelled it more in the exhale, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. There it is. It's just hanging out in the background. But those kind of like sweeten everything up just a bit. It's like, smooth it over, you know?
At the beginning, I was a little intimidated by like the rose thing, maybe aided by the pomegranate. It was doing that tartness. The myrrh had like this kind of tang to it. It was kind of like a little spiky, a little intense, smoky even with the incense. The longer I wear this, things like the honey, hay, and amber are starting to like smooth things out. So again, though, you have to go on the first part of the ride to get to the second part. That's just how rides work. You can't like join the roller coaster like halfway through. Like you hate the drop, so you have to like you don't want to like catch a ride like somewhere in the midpoint. It just doesn't work that way. Not with perfume. Okay, well, anything else before we move on?
I love it, and I'm obsessed, and I think it's just beautiful, and
It's got the Galen.
I'm just raving. This is my rave review. I'm raving about this descent.
Okay, Lord and Raver. We're moving on then to CITRINE. CITRINE inspired by the stone.
Not the song Citrine by Dolly Parton. Citrine.
Oh my gosh, I want to die.
Citrine.
Normally I do this to you.
I'm begging of you, please don't take my stone.
Yeah. Wait, why would CITRINE take a stone?
I don't know.
No, let's.
No, it's you're singing about CITRINE.
We're going to move on. We're going to gently but firmly transition to talking about the fragrance notes. Would you remove the tennis ball real quick while I read those? Yes, you want this, don't you? Okay, but you're going to squeak it while I'm reading. You have to wait the length of a perfume description. Glittering ambrette seed, crystalline sparkles of lemon and orange blossom, blood orange and orange peel, bay leaf, sweet myrrh, and caraway. Okay, now we may move on. Okay?
Okay.
This is like a fun departure from... Okay, maybe that's not going to be possible. So this is an interesting departure from the other scents that we've done. Most of these are on the darker side because it's like serious witchcraft vibes. People, I'm a serious witch and I want everyone on public transportation to know it. CITRINE, I love it. It's just like follows the inspiration of the stone, goes in a completely different direction, illuminating, warm, bright. Oh my gosh. So in addition to the citrus notes, which are like, you know, obviously a standout here, this warm, kind of like almost marshmallowy, is it, it's the ambrette seed that I'm getting, I guess? Just kind of like a warm sweetness, almost a little toasty, right?
Yeah, I thought he was going to bark. I was waiting. It is, there's like the spicy kind of... Is caraway spicy? Do I know anything at all?
I just remember it because I used to like get caraway seeds in the sausage that came from the pizza we used to order as a kid, and I'd be like, what is this? In my memory, I don't know, it's a little bit, maybe like a little bitter, I don't know. A little green, a little bitter.
It's just this like radiant,
Mm-hmm.
like fuzzy
golden
citrus.
Yes. It's just kind of like
it's so beautiful,
wonderful and life affirming, and you know how you wake up in the morning and everything you were crying about the night before seems that much more remote and everything is going to be okay, maybe. Of course you'll be crying again when night comes, but this is like... Oh wow, so on the skin I get a little more of the herb stuff. Yes. It instantly goes into...
You fool.
It does end up in a kind of a witch store place. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I recognize the bay, one of my favorite scents. The sweetness of the myrrh is so different than what we've smelled before, which was before like a little more of that like kind of like tart
Heavier.
tart myrrh.
Heavy tart myrrh.
there's a kind of a cool, like it's so warm in the bottle, and it's also kind of cooling off in ways because of, I think, the herbal components. Okay, so on the skin I thought it would be like way more citrusy, but it's more about that like lemon blossom, orange blossom situation.
Yeah.
It's blossomy.
It's blossomy, not necessarily citrus blossom.
Yes.
Which is different than citrus.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's still just kind of like very warm and calming. I want to say like kind of centering, which sounds like some, you know, new age woo-woo talk.
But you're not wrong.
No, I mean, it feels like it kind of like envelops and like blots out a lot of the... a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's great. I feel held by Citrine.
I absolutely love this one. I've worn this one several times. It's like...
Did you sing the song?
I did. I sang it to myself and I laughed. And I hope that someone else out there found that funny, but
yeah,
whatever.
You don't have to tell us.
Don't tell me in the comments.
Don't be sure not to like, comment, or subscribe because it makes Galen nervous. It's like the kind of monster at the end of this book style of like engagement. So shall we?
Yeah.
Carry on.
As much as I could keep.
I know.
Hanging out in Citrine land.
All of these have just given me so much already. We're going to move straight on to rose quartz, keeping on with the directly inspired by a stone, containing bits of the stone. This rose quartz scent is Bulgarian Rose Absolute, Rose Otto, Sandalwood, 3-year aged patchouli, Orris Absolute, Rosemary, and Rose Hips. Got it? Rose stuff. Soft and seductive, like a lover's kiss.
Aww.
Rosy, rosy, rosy. Ring around the rosy. Okay. So I love rose. Love it. I use some form of some rose product somehow every single day, I believe. You can attest to that.
It's true. I'm not complaining.
This seems to contain so many different parts, like, all together. You know, like, there's, like, this, like, a lush pink rose, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting something kind of stemmy. Jonathan Stemmy. Silence of the Stems. Which I think it's got to be the rose hips, maybe? Like, some other part, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a greenery.
Yes, the sandalwood and patchouli are not, like, in the bottle, like, standing out. I mean, how do you get past all that rose? Like, there's not room on the stage yet.
They're definitely, like, bass. Yeah, they're heavy bass lines.
There is a kind of a lovely, like, creamy, woody support underneath this, though, that I think that's probably where it's going to be. So.
And the Orris kind of, you know, does that Orris thing where it kind of dries it out, adds, like, a nice... filmy.
It does have like a gauze to it.
Yeah. What else is in it? Looking at it.
Rosemary.
Rosemary. That was another thing I was...
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's where some of that kind of green sharpness is coming through.
Yeah.
I've been asked a few times lately if we have a rosemary scent, and we honestly do not have much in the way of rosemary.
Arcana does have rosemary in it.
Yes.
And but that is like, yeah.
It's like you have to fish around for it.
And the Velmont one. The Velmont one is actually
Did you say Velma, like Scooby-Doo?
Velma. Velmont one is like, there's actually some pretty prominent rosemary in that one.
This feels like so, it's a kind of a beautiful, purifying scent. You know what I'm saying? Which I guess fits with the rose quartz because you've got this beautiful pink stone that is used for like stuff that you would use a beautiful pink stone for. You know, love and good vibes and healing. There's just something so easygoing about it. It's like, it's a powerful scent, and I think that the throw and like duration is going to be long on this one. But it's also very gentle.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not getting a personal memory from it, but it does have this sort of, like, hazy memory of a rose kind of quality to it.
What about a professional memory?
What?
Nothing personal, but like maybe in the professional sphere. I guess this is it. This now will be your professional memory.
My professional memory would be
This
that
brings
of...
back a professional memory of, like, as if you could, like, categorize your brain like LinkedIn. Some memories.
Tell us some of your best professional memories.
Well, what a... Man, because of this job, imagine the stuff I'd be able to throw down.
Well, I spent several days, snaked around the corner of a bed arranging Barbies having sex.
Yeah.
For photos.
I met RuPaul, and I gave him a bottle of a perfume called Shade.
You also met Elvira.
Yes, very briefly.
Professional memory.
That is a professional memory. For everyone else in line, that was a personal memory. But for me, since I was giving her a bag of perfumes, it was a professional one. It's not better. It's just different. It's really kind of holding steady with it's just like this beautiful, like, it reminds me of like a kind of a choral composition where it's just like long sustained notes.
Oh, choral and not choral.
Yes. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, this is a gorgeous, soft, but strong rose perfume with like interesting layers. And if you're afraid of the patchouli or sandalwood or whatever, I would say, like, don't
Fear not.
worry. There's not a lot of
It's
that.
It's not about that. It's way more about the rose.
So now we're moving on to Shadow Self, which is the one out of this batch that I actually have worn a bunch of times. And this one is related to, it has obsidian in it, and is sort of like, obsidian I think is going to be a stone that we return to in this collection in a number of different ways because we're goth AF, and so is Haute Macabre, and so it's like, what can you do with obsidian? Lots of things. Here they all are. So the description says myrrh, shocker, Apopanax, smoked lavender buds, Australian sandalwood, clary sage, Capoiba,
Gesundheit.
Tolu balsams. Capoiba and Tolu balsams, so I think it's
Oh.
another kind of balsam.
Got it.
Hyssop, self-heal, and rue with a glimmer of frankincense, green tea absolute, white lotus absolute, and pink lotus petals. This is one, so someone posted recently, I think in the parlor, mentioning, like, what does this smell like? Because from the description, they really could not mentally predict.
Especially with the Capoiba.
Capoiba!
You're like, I don't know what you're saying to me.
Shapoopy. So, as another theater shout out. So, and I admit that I was really curious to smell this, because reading that description, I'm like, okay, there's lots of stuff in here I like. I just am not really getting a sense of, like, what the smell is. So, sometimes you really do have to just get in there to find out. Because what is it? Oh my god. So, like, first of all, in the bottle, I get this, like, kind of wonderful, sweet, funky balsam action, which is, like, a main part of this fragrance, and I wished it was a little clearer in the description that this is, like, where it goes. Also, the lavender and the clary sage.
That smoked lavender is incredible.
So you've got this dark, incensey, sweet, funky balsam with some, like, beautiful, like, sparkles of, like, lavender and sage. Which, so that you've got, like, the dark and you've got the light. And then you've just got this kind of rich, thick, kind of, like, stickiness to it that's like the sweet balsam that I just find absolutely addictive. I want to smell it all the time. At first, like, even smelling this, I would have guessed it's like a black amber.
That makes sense, I guess.
That's what,
kind of
what
like a...
if I was smelling this and was, diagnosing it. Having smelled this, I've been a little more adventurous about seeking out balsams and just trying them and enjoying them and finding out that, like, that's a note that I just really, really love. So, shall we try her?
Yes. When I was a kid, I used to use a balsam and protein shampoo and conditioner. I don't remember who made it, but I was always like, what does that even mean?
Well, that is a fascinating story.
That's just my introduction to balsam.
Yes.
And I didn't know that, like, for a really long time that it was
I'm like, I was
plant thing. I was just like, what the fuck is balsam?
I always assumed it was like, I knew what, like, balsa wood was from, like, the little airplanes that you make. And that was all I knew as, a young hayseed. There's lots of stuff in here that I don't really get strongly, that now reading it you like can look for and track it. Like White Lotus Absolute and Pink Lotus Petals, I don't get like a strong floral component in this perfume other than the lavender.
Yeah.
I like, though, in the dry down, knowing that it is sort of supported by, you know, some of these other things. Same with like the green tea Absolute. Like green tea can be kind of a subtle scent.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, contributing
it can add just
to
like
like
an earthiness.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, and I think that's what it's doing here.
Because it's not like tea heavy, but it is. It
No.
does have that earthy grit.
It has,
to it.
this has like a kind of a weird grit, like it smells like there are things in it, you know? It's like you've got this like kind of rich, sweet, syrupy, kind of like gummy balsam situation with just like bits in it. That's my, and when I haven't like checked my bottle to see like how much like solid plant materia is in it. I see a couple of little things like kind of hovering in there, and there is by Obsidian Chip, Capoiba.
Capoiba. Yeah, just beautifully dry, woody incense cloud in the background is like a, you know, keeping it all in a big hug.
It's really kind of horny. I don't know what to, like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, there's just something about it that's
Must
just
be
like
your shadow self.
Yeah. Ah! Yeah.
Just like mysterious.
And that like kind of weird funk though too, where you're just like, yeah, like I'm so
Yeah.
it's like when you stumble upon something, it feels like weirdly foresty, like you're like snuggled in like a hollow tree trunk and there's like sap in there. You know, and you're like
it.
You're being Blair Witched.
In a good way. That's
Or the Vavitched. You've been like, either way, like it's like a weird conversion, a witchcraft conversion experience. Where you're like, oh yes, now I understand, and I shall study the old mysteries. For me, like, I mean, all of these have been a real kick, but that's the one that I've just been like, every now and then I'll remember that it exists and be like, okay, let's go put that on.
Now's the time. This is the hour.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's really good. I haven't tried this one on yet, so I mean, like, I've smelled it on you, I've smelled it in the bottle, and I'm like, oh, that's great. But like, trying it on is something else.
That brings us to the final perfume that we've released so far, which is CLOAK. Another Obsidian-inspired blend, and this is brand new, and I haven't really gone on this ride. CLOAK is a black velvet swirl of inky musk, sweet patchouli, opium tar accord, cypress, frankincense, red benzoin, and tonka, with vervain, poppy petals, frankincense tears, and bracken. Pickety pockety.
Feet bracken.
Yeah. Feet bracken.
Pickety pockety.
You know, witch stuff. I can hear the little obsidian rattling around in there. I like how much overlap there is between these scents in terms of like sort of cementing a kind of a house style. And yes, we can diverge from it a bit with like citrine or rose quartz and go. Mm-hmm. But there is like this a particular darkness gathering that can be explored like different rooms in a haunted mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good work, Haute Macabre.
Is this the first one that doesn't have myrrh in it?
Why, I believe it is.
Right?
Yes,
okay.
Very observant. Woo! So this reminds me a bit of Descent, except for that where that one was rose heavy. This is much more opium, poppy, etc.
This is strong.
It's so strong. It reminds me a bit of that black satin sheet ghost.
Yes.
That one was a little more kind of green and dry though, and this one weirdly has, because of the musk, and I think it has a little, I mean, it's a bit sweeter, sweet patchouli, and it's just a little more playful.
Really, like, dark. I'm getting a lot of the cypress in the bottle.
Yes. Just lots of kind of sharp.
Super dark and sharp, and
yeah.
The woods are sharp and dark and deep.
There's like a kind of, it's funny because it's got this swirl of softness, and then it has some like pretty spiky notes here. The frankincense is like poking at you. The cypress is poking at you. The patchouli is poking at you. You know, it's a bit confrontational. How fun. It's just very mysterious and dry. Extremely gender neutral, I'll say. Like, this is something, like, this cloak is neither in the men's section or the women's section. It is an all-purpose cloak that would fit any, bilaterally symmetrical hominid.
Okay, I smell a lot more of the patchouli and I think the benzoin on the skin too. Just
Yes.
like that dry, sweet, crumbly incense.
And also a wet incense, because it's got like a real like resinous quality.
It does, because the opium is like really heavy and dark.
I mean, this is like a dark hidey hole.
Wow.
It's like a kind of like an unrelenting darkness. There's not like, if there's anything that takes it out of the darkness, and even like goes slightly toward the light, Carol Ann, I would just say the fact that, even some of like the poppy petals or something that has a kind of a more of like a breathy lightness, something kind of airborne on it, because everything else kind of seems to pull down into the darkness. Maybe the cypress also, because it's got like glint of that like almost evergreen.
Yeah, the cypress really stands out to me as just kind of being like threading it all together. Like, you were wearing this cloak in the woods.
Yeah.
That is definitely where you are.
It's not like a super green scent, but like it does have this kind of shade to it.
Woody chill. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a temple in the woods.
Yeah. Incense already burning.
Well, right. Like, it's almost like
You arrive there alone.
The the intensity of the temple experience kind of like blots out almost every other part of your awareness of like sense of place and time. So, that's a great place to work from. I'm not like I have really this odd relationship with the opium stuff where I'm like fascinated by it and I like it in theory and I do like the smell of it, but I don't usually like gravitate toward it or like want to smell of it.
Same. I always I'm interested in smelling it as it's like a scent that is captured, but usually I'm just like, it's too heavy and dark for me. Where I'm like, kind of freaky.
I totally understand the appeal.
Yeah.
It's not something that I personally, it's just like you're not really part of my like mood board, if you will. But I'm always happy to run into it and be like, oh, her. Good for her,
Yeah. Though I do really like it in this, and I think it definitely is important for this image.
I just went and did the full like arms going on a ride across the arms thing. The citrine is the one that stands out, of course, among these as least like the others.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy she's there. Disco, come on, why don't you come up here? Come on, we'll share your thoughts. Come here.
Final words.
Well, in recap, we are going to keep releasing these scents, so you can look forward to more crystalline Haute Macabre adventures with the lab, and we will have, I think in a few months, enough of them racked up to do another video, including Phantasmagoria. And in the meantime, we'd love to hear if you have thoughts about what you've smelled so far, or witchcraft experiences, related to perfume or not, I guess. Just, keeping it lively. And
all of these are wafting off of me, and it is incredible. I'm just like, wow, I smell really great.
Yeah, you do.
I can just smell all of them, and I'm like,
it's not, it's so
wow.
funny. You in particular have your own stuff that you love. Like, these all one after another really did it for you. You definitely watched The Craft too many times as at an impressionable age.
These are all very The Craft worthy for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I would wear these and watch The Craft, which I do.
I was gonna say,
watch
what
The Craft
else?
a lot. So
what
now
else
I'm
do
going
you
to start
do?
wearing these and then watch The Craft. Fuck, I love that movie.
I feel like
it's
you could
perfect.
really get a great kind of screening party going, because people definitely would want to watch Perfumes and smell The Craft with you. I said that right.
Smell The Craft.
And with that, we shall leave you with this cute image. And then we're going to go away now. And we wish you all a very wonderful, spooky rest of your lifetime.
Yeah. Bye.